arcade-like power-up, slinging, backflip-inducing video game, but a simulation-like. I felt like I was in a state of constant shock, staring at this thick-ass sponge boy waddling with his mitts as a normal-looking dude was sitting there contemplating his life. Actually, he was probably reading the constant tutorials, which I could not, for the life of me, figure how to turn off. It's like Nicktoons MLB is in constant tutorial mode. Almost like they're trying to sell kids the latest MLB game instead. That actually makes a lot of sense. Maybe baseball was on the down and out this year, and 2K was like, okay, the kids love the cartoons, and baseball jerseys are at an all-time low in sales. Let's put them together. And they did just that. Much to my dismay. But there's one problem here. Everything has been simplified, making the game feel not only less challenging, but just really fucking boring. If you max out the pitch meter, you're almost guaranteed to always get a strike against the computer. And that's all you're gonna be able to play against, because no one in the right mind is gonna join you for Nicktoons MLB. Especially not when this happens anytime SpongeBob comes up to the plate.
I'm a dirty boy. Right.
I put the disc in thinking I was gonna be playing some goofy, arcadey baseball game, and I left thinking about SpongeBob's kinky 50 Shades of Grey Aryan-esque sex life. I'm out. Goodbye.
I'm a dirty boy.
We're not done here yet because we're about to tackle the extremely infamous Nickelodeon Party Blast. Some of you may know the one. The party with the 1.1 on IGN, the game not better than God Hand. The 19% on Metacritic. A licensed game so bad that I regret not speaking of it in my old Worst Licensed Games video. This is Nickelodeon Party Blast. I want you to think of Mario Party, right? Except not Mario Party. I want you to think about Pac-Man Fever, the game we talked about in the Mario Party Clones video. Now, I want you to imagine that there's only 6 mini-games, just those 6, but they do have a couple maps. Well, that's this game, and that's all this game is. You got the one where you try to goo people, there's one where you throw food at people, there's one where you have to build a pipeline for your goo, one where you try to dunk basketballs but end up being stuck in a giant pile of shit. You get the point. All very basic minigames stuffed into a full-priced product that makes my heart feel like it's ceasing to function. That's mostly because the controls are just janky as hell. You feel like you're trying to move in a single direction, but it just fights against you the entire time. I played this game with my partner, and the look on her face was that of despair. A 1,000-mile-long stare, a stern look of discontent and utter sadness. She broke up with me right after we finished playing, and when I asked her why, she simply said, "You know why," and left. It's probably because I refused to let her win. You got reps from not just SpongeBob, but also like Invader Zim, Wild Thornberrys, The Works. I mean, hell, CatDog sits on the couch as the host of the fictional show this all takes place in. Even though CatDog looks utterly horrifying, this game was received so poorly that the PlayStation 2 version of this was completely canceled. Yeah, the PS2 one, you know, the highest selling console of all time. Also, why the hell is an actual baby driving on the cover? What were they trying to say with Party Blast? Not to mention, Tommy seems very happy to be receiving a stream of Eliza Thornberry's goo. I dislike the game, I dislike the music. I especially dislike listening to this game at all. Nickelodeon Party Blast deserves to be firmly at the bottom of the video game dumpster, where it'll lie in wait for a poor sucker like myself to pick it up, thinking, hey, maybe I can trick my friends into playing this. The next and last game of this collection is going to be one that I found at a retro game shop in a mall for $2. Just $2. Prepare your butts for the adventures of Jimmy Neutron Jet Fusion. Sorry, I messed that up. The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius Jet Fusion. I remember being like 11 years old and feeling super pumped to see Jimmy Neutron the movie in theaters. Yeah, not the TV show, but that 2001 movie. I wish I could remember anything about what happened in this film, but alas, I guess that's a testament to how much it meant to me. I'm totally down for the concept of a science-driven smart guy running the stomping grounds, where everyone held a modicum of respect for the main character, but we already had that show. I did, however, find out that Jimmy Neutron is voiced by Debbie Derryberry, who was also the voice of Ryo-Oki in Tenchi Muyo, which is a very different type of show, but that's still rad nonetheless. Digging through this also led to me finding a movie called Alpha and Omega, which looks like a furry romance movie that has Justin Long, Dennis Hopper, and Danny Glover for some reason. Also, there's like fucking 8 of them? How is this a thing? This is like the Land Before Time for all you furbles out there. Anyway, Jimmy Neutron, yeah. Jet Fusion is based off of a TV mini-movie of the same name, Operation Rescue Jet Fusion. That means the full name of this game should be The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius Operation Rescue Jet Fusion. That's 2 colons, bitches, 2! The scene opens not on Jimmy, but some dude named, well, Jet Fusion. He's an actor of sorts, and for some reason he's filming a movie on top of the set of the music video for Metallica's I Disappear. You know, the one from Mission Impossible 2. I guess there's a bit of resemblance there then. However, instead of looking like Timothy Cruz, everyone's favorite Xenu-fearing dillhole, Jet Fusion kinda looks like Ricky Gervais had a really bad day. Like, a really bad day.
If I sound like I'm being mean, I'm just buffering you guys for what's to come. Also, I just wanted to say the word dillhole. That's a good word.
Jimmy Neutron is a puzzle platformer, but it's not a very good one. Typically, with any kind of platformer, you want to have a nice and flowy jump. You look at your Mario 64s, your Jak and Daxters, your Ratchet and Clanks, and your Banjo-Kazooies, and everyone has this nice arc to it. Some of them can even double jump, which, while breaking the laws of physics, just adds to the fun factor. Now, allow me to demonstrate Jimmy Neutron's big-ass gravity-defying jump. Okay, so I want you to imagine doing jumping platforming segments while you're stuck with that little boy. Jimmy ain't no long jumping boy, that's for sure. But hey, if this game is designed around that, allowing the camera to be used in a manner where all of the jumps make sense and allow a little room for human error, then fine, whatever. But it sure as fuck doesn't do that. Jimmy can bounce on things in order to jump higher, but anytime you actually get to spend bouncing around is very sparse. You can control Goddard, but all he does is explode. You also get a few guns and create other random gadgets by doing weird brainvore stuff. So here's the story. Jimmy gets the reality stone and makes this device that fuses the fictional world into the real one. It's your stereotypical 90s movie plot, Space Jam or Mortal Kombat all over again. So when you embark on your journey to save Ricky Gervais from being kidnapped or something, where are we going to be going first? Well, the Asian village. Yep, that's the best we could think of. Not like Japanese, which is what they were clearly going for with the sumo boy, but the Asian village. It's a little tasteless, but what else do we have?
Hello, big-headed one.
You know, I didn't wake up this morning thinking Jimmy Neutron was gonna be a little problematic. Especially the part where Jimmy's running around his school shooting his laser gun. Oh my god! Enemies seem to have like 1 or 2 lines of dialogue in this game, and if you happen to enter a room with a bunch of them, you're gonna be hearing a lot of this. It's cool to see where Xenoblade Chronicles 2's inspiration came from. The variety in Jimmy Neutron is pretty cool, but it all just feels really bad. Jimmy moves so slow. Deaths are gonna happen because the platforming segments don't seem to fit in with the engine. Especially these ones with floors breaking or icicles moving around depending on your positioning. Don't even get me started on the ladders. This one part had me falling off over and over due to not being able to pull off jumps, so I had to climb this again and again. This looks like the right place for a Snake Eater joke, but I won't do it, not today! Bosses are lame and cause Jimmy's eyes to get all jaundicey. Running out of lives boots you out of a level entirely, which would be okay if levels weren't all 20 to 40 minutes long. Yeah, they're not short. There's less than 10 levels in the entire game, so if you fuck up, you have to retrace a lot of steps. NPCs look and sound horrifying. The mini-games are nonsensical, and some of them have this lovely sound going the entire time. I always thought that the character Jimmy Neutron was kind of a dick. I'm not a fan of this game by any means, but at least I feel good knowing that a character who would run around tossing out, actuallys, being a smartass, and trying to one-up everyone gets a subpar game. One that's easily one-uppable. There's a ton of bad Nickelodeon games, but of all the ones I played for this video, Jimmy Neutron was easily the most infuriating. There's not even any goo.
Well, that's all for today. Somebody call me when they release Good Burger on Blu-ray. Or if Legends of the Hidden Temple comes back.
What a thrill.
Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video, so let me go ahead and talk about them a little bit. I've been wanting to make a website for a long time now, but I didn't really have the know-how or any of that, so I was stoked to find out that something like Squarespace existed. I need some help and, I just want to work together with you guys to see what we can come up with. Leave a message down in the comments below with what you think I should be adding to the site, and I'll be back with you guys soon.
Squarespace is so easy to use that it means anyone can make a website for just about anything. It's perfect for all of you creative types out there, be you gaming YouTubers, musicians, artists, or heck, even those wanting a nice landing page for your resume. But hey, even if you are struggling and need help to make things perfect, Squarespace has a 24/7 every single day of the year support platform. So if you're wanting to use one of the most powerful website creation tools out there, check out squarespace.com/Austin Eruption, or click the link in the description to sign up and create whatever your heart desires or needs. That's squarespace.com/Austin Eruption and get started today. Let's make a website together. Yo, thank you so much for watching. Thank you very much to all my Patreon supporters, and big thanks to Jacoby Fitzpatrick, Neo Skunk, Flaming Fighter, Ronnie Vile, Superfly1787, Legend Gary, Space Heart, Christopher Olivia, and Jackets. Thank you guys all so much for your very generous donations. If you like the video, then hey, watch some more or something. We got more coming soon. Also, if you want to watch me stream, I've been streaming regularly recently, which is pretty rad. We're about to be finished with Corpse Party, so if you want to do that, go to twitch.tv/Austin Eruption, and I'll catch you guys soon. Love you. Austin here. So today I want everyone to get sad because we're going to be talking about the top 10 worst video games based on a license. Although I think some of you might get mad because I can't believe that people like Dragon Ball Z Sagas. What is that? Now, we've gone over licensed games several times in the past, so there's not really much to say here. I, however, decided to dig as hard as I could to find the cream of the shit crowd. You'll notice that there's probably gonna be a good amount of games missing that others have mentioned, like Superman 64, E.T., or Hannah Montana. Why? Well, I wanted to showcase something new. Or old, I guess, whatever. I also wanted to try and keep each entry as different from the others as I could with one entry per franchise. Otherwise, we'd be seeing, well, mostly shit like Beastly, and I don't want that. And with that all out of the way, let's all sit down and prepare to watch some of our favorite franchises fall into the shitter. Top 10 worst games based on a license.
The year is 1990X, when evil starts to prevail, when superheroes fail, when there's only one last resort. Steven Seagal is the final option.
Well, I'm glad we haven't reached that point yet, because Steven Seagal's tucked away somewhere, just like his shitty game that never got released. Hey! That's right. In the world of licensed video game titles, somehow action movie star Steven Seagal got himself a working prototype of a game that was canned. And thank God this never hit the store shelves, because holy shit. Now, I can't be too hard on this game because it was never actually released. It was shifted to the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation as a Steven Seagal game called Dead Honor, but that also died. So basically this prototype has you fighting your way through baddies to set up bombs and destroy terrorists? Be it in a sewer, volcano, or even in the droid assembly line from Star Wars Episode 2, there's evil that needs stopping. Whatever the situation is, we are clearly the last resort. Also, the game is shit. It's complete shit. Not in like a it's not finished way, but in a all of the mechanics are fundamentally flawed way. Movement is incredibly sluggish, kind of like Flashback or Blackthorn, but on an isometric plane, so it's yeah. For the prototype, you have unlimited lives and the ability to teleport around anytime after death, so you can straight up skip the platforming segments, and why wouldn't you? They're impossible! In fact, 90% of my time spent playing this game was being dead and or dying. This may be because collision detection doesn't apply to Mr. Seagal, but that is merely speculation. And then I broke the game. Well, next game. I think it's pretty easy to take a look at a game and determine it as being shovelware. These tend to be like minigame collections or games based off of TV shows. Or, you know, both, like the recentish Duck Dynasty game. Yep. Alright, this is a bit of an easy one, but we gotta have at least one of these, right? There were other candidates like Desperate Housewives or Deadliest Catch, but Duck Dynasty is a particular brand of terrible. I mean, all these reality TV shows are usually hammed up fake shows produced for the lowest common form of entertainment, but the low effort of Duck Dynasty was truly laughable. So much so that retailers have a hard time practically giving it away.
Ducks are like women in that they don't like a lot of mud on their butts.
Okay, listen, I'm from the South myself, but I have no idea what the Robertson family is saying half the time. I feel like there's not many people who would be a fan of having muddy butts. I mean, if I'm wrong, please let me know, but as far as I'm concerned, the general populace is a clean butt kind of zone. But of course, let's compare women to ducks, okay? Gameplay here is really nothing special. Actually, it's not really anything at all. It's a game about brutally murdering ducks in QuickTime events. Call the ducks via terrible QTE and auto-aim your way to victory, because fuck putting in any effort! Like seriously, you just have to hit the iron sights button and you just lock onto things. I think they also accounted for the player base to be unfamiliar with the concept of thinking, because look at this shit.
That's all right. You'll get the hang of it.
I'll get it. I'll get it. I just killed it! Damn you, members of the Duck Dynasty video game industry crossover audience! Eliminating any challenge for the rest of us people who play Duck Dynasty video games. I mean, you get to, like, drive around and stuff, too, but, well... Can't have fun now, can we? After all, this game is only rated T for teen. Who this game is for besides people on YouTube will be beyond me, but I'd like to meet you. Duck Dynasty, as terrible as I expected. Now, while I said I'd stray away from typical choices, there was one that I wanted to rag on. A lot of people, myself included, love the Aliens franchise. From the innovative thriller of the original to the Guns McShooty of the sequel, Aliens. And let's pretend that these don't exist. The video games here don't have a better fate either. It's such a mixed bag, but it's a strange day when the best Aliens game is probably Aliens vs. Predator, the beat-em-up, or maybe Isolation, I don't know. But there's not an entry to the Aliens franchise more offensive than Gearbox's Aliens Colonial Marines. From the shady trailers and gameplay shown off at events like E3 to the alleged siphoning of money onto Borderlands, this poor game was destined to a terrible fate.
Sir, the Sulaco was reported last seen over Fury 161. How is it back over this planet?
Lieutenant Reed, thanks for the interruption.
Yeah, that's right, girl, shut up! What have women ever done for humanity against the xenomorphs anyway? Oh yeah. So what's the problem with Colonial Marines? Well, I feel like it just doesn't understand its source material. Xenomorphs started out in the first film as these genuinely terrifying creatures that were near impossible to kill. Playing Colonial Marines is just kind of like, excuse me, out of the way, coming through. They melt like butter. There is hardly a sense of threat when they're just these goofy looking motherfuckers. Also, the frame rate is about as stable as my faith in humanity. Sometimes it'll decide to run smoothly, and other times it'll fuck right off, especially in co-op play, which, speaking of, typically a game is enhanced with co-op, no matter how terrible it is otherwise. For example, I'd say generally speaking that Resident Evil 6 isn't a good game. Now, throw in a second player and it becomes something to laugh at, something to dick around in, and attempt to have fun with. It progresses from terror bad to, hey, I don't currently hate myself. Aliens Colonial Marines didn't even give me that. They were like, here, have a few more aliens, little more HP, and enjoy your frame rate randomizer. Imagine, if you will, 4 people sitting in a call, playing a game, not saying anything, wishing for a good alien game to exist. And that's what it was! Even the multiplayer, where you get to play as the aliens, is just a big, messy mess. Good luck finding anyone to play this with. Now, Gearbox's Randy Pitchford might say something like, hey, sometimes you gotta eat a cheeseburger instead of caviar, which, by the way, caviar is fucking gross. But I think myself and literal millions of others just wanted a good alien game, which we got in isolation. Maybe. I haven't played it yet. One of my earliest cases of buyer's remorse was the original Dragon Ball Z Budokai. Now, before everyone gets upset, the game isn't fucking terrible. It was a case of me saving up my allowance while simultaneously being addicted to Dragon Ball Z. In a period of watching AMVs with spoilers from further seasons, browsing the website Temple of Trunks, and getting my trash fix on, I absolutely wanted a goddamn Dragon Ball Z game. Then I bought it, and it was super subpar, and I beat it in a few hours and was left with $50 less. It sucked, man. I could have picked up something like Tales of Symphonia, but I was stupid. But see, this pick isn't Dragon Ball Z Budokai, but instead something much worse. Something that took the name of Dragon Ball Z and decided to shit all over decades of legacy. My name is Son Goku. What? Dragon Ball Evolution for the PSP. Oh boy. I mean, we could talk about the game itself, but it's essentially just Budokai, an even more subpar version of a subpar game based on a terrible movie. It's like magic in the making. So, how about let's talk about this fucking white American Dragon Ball visual novel. I mean, yeah, I did see the movie 3 times in theaters, each time with a different person, and it was always just the 2 of us. And while Dragon Ball Evolution may not necessarily be make-out material, it certainly was an experience. Let's just say they took some liberties. Like Bulma Briefs now being Bulma Enchanto, a woman who enjoys Attack on Titan cosplay. Or how Goku's a white male, goddammit! But hey, at least Chi-Chi was impressed with him opening lockers or some shit. These halfway drawn rotoscoped pictures of the actors are genuinely terrifying. I mean, look at this shit, it's not even consistent. What the fuck's up with Piccolo? When did he become Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie? Just like, what? And there's something about Chow Yun-Fat playing Master Roshi that just tickles me. I wonder if any of the actors feel regret for being in this movie. How about that time when the director apologized for the movie existing? I suppose the only good thing this game has going for it is that it's one of the only Dragon Ball Z fighting games where you can play as Bulma. But I guess not really, because I try to forget this game exists. Dragon Ball Evolution for the PSP. You might enjoy this if you were a fan of Evil Zone. Probably. Some games don't need to exist. Examples: Breath of Fire 6, Mario Teaches Typing, Infinite Undiscovery, or in the case of this video, M&M video games. That's right, everybody, everyone's favorite candy characters got themselves a video game. Well, one of many, but that's okay. Most of these are just inoffensive corporate cash-ins for the sake of making even more people buy their terrible candy. Twix for life. So picture, if you will, Mario Kart Wii, what with the motion controls. Now throw that out the window and instead picture living in a sawmill.
Approaching sound barrier! Sound barrier!
Move right the fuck on over, F-Zero, because M&M's Racing is here to stay. Permanently at the Goodwill next to the used underwear, forever. They even forgot to program like a title screen for the game. You boot it up and it's like, hey kids, you wanna race some candy carts? I mean, at the core of everything, this is a discount Mario Kart with discount controls and discount, well, everything. It's terrible. I don't think I've seen V-Sync issues on a fucking console game before, but hey, look right here, you got it.
I need a better engine.
See, even fucking Red M&M Kun knows what with his shitty floating eyebrows. If you don't have enough speed, sometimes this game won't even work. Like, I can't get up this fucking ramp. It took me legit 20 seconds to get over this, and I guess the NPCs probably had the same problem because they didn't even catch up. Like, what the fuck? The carts have a mind of their own, levels look fucking awful, and if you're brave enough to play more than 2 levels of this game, you're rewarded with frame rate hell. You guys remember the game Bastion? Remember how world building would happen around you, slowly revealing the mysteries of the place the kid and the others inhabited? Well, fucking M&M's Racing did that shit first! And of course, as previously heard, was the god-awful sound the carts make. Like, I don't know who thought this was a good idea. Who is this game for? What's the demographic? Fans of M&M's candy? I guess it had to have been poor children who needed themselves a Mario Kart fix, as Mario Kart Wii wasn't out yet. And buy Twix. Everyone buy Twix. Not too long ago, I distinctly remember us getting licensed games at the wazoo. Pretty much any summer blockbuster got its own hit game that was usually, well, fucking awful. This was especially the case with the recent rise of superhero games. And dear God, there were a ton of them. I mean, there were good games like the Wolverine's Origin game, but I'll talk about that stuff another time. The Marvel Cinematic Universe sure spawned on a whole bunch of shit. We were seeing games coming out left and right, and pretty much any MCU movie tie-in was done by Sega. All of these games are no good, but none of them are more horrendous and fucking grating than the first of the collaboration, Iron Man. Now, I was a huge fan of the movie when it came out. I thought that Robert Downey Jr. portrayed a perfect Tony Stark, and the structure of the film felt fucking great. So when it came time for a video game to come out, I mean, like, fuck, it's Iron Man, who doesn't want that? Sega was even able to get the actors to portray themselves in the video game adaptation.
Just came up. Pack me a bag, will you?
Oh. How in the actual fuck does RDJ sound like a sound-alike? And in adding content to extend the length of the game, they made the lovable Tony Stark 70% more asshole and took away pretty much all likability. But alas, we can't judge a game based on the cinematics. We have to look at the gameplay, the core of it all.
Wow!
Yep, this game fucking sucks. God damn it, Sega, how did you fuck this up? Anyone remember Spider-Man 2, the superhero game that everyone references as being the quintessential superhero game? Okay, fuck that though, because the quintessential superhero game is the Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. Probably. They crafted the system built off Hulk running around and smashing things. That's the fucking game! Then you go back to Iron Man, which came out 3 years later, and it's fucking jank. Jankman! When your best strategy is to repeatedly press the thruster button to do this, you know something is fundamentally wrong. Nothing has any impact. I mean, I know Tony Stark's suits are fucking OP, but to be hit with a goddamn missile and simply like shrug it off is amazing. Not even a sound effect, baby. Also, hey, look how finished this game is. Floating helicopters, backgrounds that look similar to an N64 game, frame rates that are nervous about staying consistent. And you see, this is just the first in a long line of terrible MCU video game tie-ins. So thank you, Iron Man, for starting the trend that may have actually killed the entire concept of Marvel video games. I mean, fucking Lego Avengers did Iron Man better, come on!
You believed in me before. What's changed?
Tony, what in the hell were you doing out there?
Now, a lot of licensed video games make sense. If something is popular, let's exploit it. Then you have others that don't really make sense, like the Make My Video Game games. Did I really write that?
Ah yes, the Sega CD. This console gets a bit of shit from time to time, but it really was quite ahead of its time. While it might have been a bit of a commercial failure, without it we wouldn't have classics like Sonic CD, the Lunar games, Popful Mail, and so forth.
You still don't have a Sega CD?
Collecting for this bad boy isn't cheap, but it sure is neat. I actually have a Sega CD-X, which was this rare Genesis Sega CD hybrid they released in 1994. While the power cable is a bit wonky and won't support the 32X out of the box, this bad boy is pretty neat. You could also use it as a fucking Walkman if you wanted, so that was pretty cool. 90s sure were interesting. But you know, this isn't about good things. This is about Make My Video, the fucking prime example of misinformed business execs dipping their toes into the video game industry. Anyone remember these games? Well, all you did was press buttons and, well, make a video for a song using a combination of stock footage and a music video itself. There were 3 of these games, one for Crisscross, NXS, and Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Now, I was around when these came out, but I can tell you right now, the relevance of these bands has not stuck around. And they're all identical, like literally almost all the same game, if you even want to call them games. And I can't seem to figure out any of this shit. Like, yeah, you change the camera, put on a few filters, flip the video, and my masterpiece. Oh, I failed?
If you don't do better this time, we're going to kill your dog.
What the fuck? What? Oh yeah, this was the Sega CD. That means we got FMVs, baby. And this is honestly the best part of all of these games. I say this because we've already talked about the entirety of the game portion. In the Crisscross game, you got the
Miggity, Mac Daddy.
Yeah, no. In Excess takes place in this bar where there's these girls hugging a pool table and the TV only playing In Excess. It's kinda rude, to be honest.
Sick of this video. I want to watch Megadeth now.
Yeah, me too. Or, you know, watch whatever this is.
You're just a big tease, aren't you?
I don't know what's going on. But the best and or worst is the Marky Mark game. It opens up with this kid looking around his house for like 4 minutes before some strange sibling sexual tension happens.
It's too sexy for a shirt. You're such a perv.
And for some reason, everyone keeps threatening to kill each other.
Girls, can't live with them?
Shoot him.
Why all the death threats over Mark Wahlberg? Man, I can't figure out what exactly these games want me to even do as I keep failing. How does one determine if a video is good or not? All I know is that this mom is ready for some good vibrations and dad's just not having it.
Romance never hurt anyone.
Honey, the kids want us to choose some shots.
Never make this again.